Eric, please, can you share your presentation?
Yes, I may. Yes, I may. Yes, I may. Without much further ado, let me spare 1 minute to give you a brief description of what Rabo Foundation is all about. Rabo Foundation is actually the impact arm of Rabo Bank. So essentially, we get all our funding from Rabo Bank, and how it works right currently is that we are able to get a fixed amount every year. And that's how we are able to distribute it across all our presence in globally. On top of Africa, we're also present in Latin America, Asia, and also Netherlands. So basically what we do is that we put a focus on supporting smallholder farmers through financial institutions. And essentially how that works is that we are able to do that through 3 tiers of financial institutions that we support, which may be MFIs, which may be also SACCOs, financial institutions, non-banking financial institutions, or even fintechs. That's also an area that we can also look into. In Africa, being that right now I'm currently in Nairobi, Kenya, we support 6 countries, inclusive of Kenya. We also support Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ivory Coast, and Ghana. So we are able to do business in all those countries. And I think in terms of financial institutions that we support, it's any financial institutions that has a GLP of between $500,000 to $50 million. That's across 3 tiers. So we actually categorize them in 3 tiers. But as long as they have a gross loan portfolio of between $500,000 to $50 million, then we are able to do business with them. What we do is that we are able to actually give debts and also guarantees and also technical assistance. So those are areas that we can also provide support on. On the topic of today, of course, what you're trying to do is catalyzing inclusive finance, inclusive food system. And going to my first slide. So what we are looking at here is that our role at Rabo Foundation is quite simple, but also can be complex. What we do is that we bridge capital to the last mile of the food system. Essentially, we sit between 3 key actors as presented by Sanda and Genachu, public and development capital and local financial institutions. And ultimately, where Rabo Foundation falls into is that we support smallholder farmers through public development and local financial institutions. So that's where our focus are, supporting smallholder farmers. So what we do is we translate capital, often concessional or development oriented, into structured investable opportunities for financial institutions that serve agriculture. So any FSP that usually support has to have at least an agri portfolio in it. So what that means is that we provide financing, as I mentioned earlier, debt or guarantees to MFIs and rural banks and SMEs. Additionally, we also support them with better risk management and structuring, and also ensuring that this financing actually reaches underserved farmers. So essentially what we strongly believe is that if local institutions are not able to lend sustainably to agriculture, the broader food system transformation will not happen. And I think Genachu has covered that quite adequately. Into my next slide. So how do we do this? We do this through partnerships to de-risk and scale impact. Now what we believe is that this only works because of partnerships. We normally don't do what we usually do in isolation. There are usually 3 ways that we usually collaborate with the ecosystems. That is with the development and public partners, ecosystem partners, and national systems. First, how we do with the development and public partners is that I'll give you 2 examples. In the past, we have had partnerships with organizations like FAO, Food Agricultural Organization, where we support stronger farmer organizations and more resilient value chains. Another second example is that with FSD Africa and the Econ Initiative, we are also helping smallholder farmers access carbon markets, create additional income streams while supporting a climate transition. This is actually an area whereby we are trying to scale up, not only through individual organizations, but also through MFIs, especially in Rwanda. We are trying to scale up that through green finance initiatives, and that's some area that we are actually very critical on. Secondly, through ecosystem and technical partners, through Rabo partnerships, we work directly with financial institutions to into various ways build capacity in agri-lending. I'll give you like an example in Tanzania, whereby we work closely with NMB Bank, and in Uganda we also work closely with DFCU Bank. Through those two banks, we are able to not only scale up the agri portfolios, but we also try and support smaller microfinance institutions or even financial institutions in providing even debt or even guarantees. Secondly, we also improve governance and risk frameworks through Rabo partnerships. And together with NGOs and platforms like SNV or Farm to Market Alliance, those are two critical examples that I feel that I can share here. We are able to integrate digital tools, market access, financial inclusion solutions. Those are three areas that we focus on as we try to scale up the agri portfolio within the regions that I just mentioned. So essentially, just to conclude on this, is that we are not just about financing, it's about making the entire system around the farmer work better. And that through national systems. I think Genachu has actually touched quite adequately on this. It's important that we collaborate indirectly with the public sector. Genachu, this is also for you. We work through local financial institutions aligning with national agriculture and financial inclusion strategies. So rather than bypassing systems, we try and strengthen them. And what I can essentially probably a key takeaway from this particular side is that what makes this work is that, and what we strongly believe is that public and consensual capital absorbs risks, and we translate that into scalable financial solutions through local institutions. That's where we believe that the leverage happens. And onto my final slide. From partnership to system transformation. We, of course, through our experience, we know we can see what is working and what is needed. So first of all, what we believe that works is that we have seen consistently 4 things that are critical. One is that risk sharing mechanisms, either guarantees or concessional capital, unlock lending. Secondly, we believe that strong local financial institutions are the backbone of rural finance. I think, Genachu, you have also touched on this quite adequately, saying that there needs to be stronger structures in place for local financial institutions for us to, like Rabo Foundation to come into play. And thirdly, combining finance with technical support. We believe that capital alone is not enough. I mentioned that we do debt guarantees. What I also forgot is that we also do technical assistance, and we strongly believe that combining finance with local technical support can actually scale up the agri sector. And fourthly, and mostly importantly, is that long-term partnerships are quite welcome and not one-off projects. I'll give you an example of what you have done in Rwanda, where you actually support 5-6 MFIs. Is that we were trying to scale up green finance projects there as opposed to the traditional agri portfolios. And we did a study with a local strategic partner there that has laid the foundation in the last 2 years of how we can scale up the green finance sector. And we believe that we can be able to continue that with additional strategic partnerships. And we are trying to see how we can actually do that currently as we try to scale up the support of the MFI partners that we support there. Secondly, what is still needed is that we also observe quite a number of key gaps, and one of them being that we need more patient capital especially to support transition like climate smart agriculture. Again, the experience that you have had in the last 2 years with the study that you have been conducting is that there's need for more patient capital as opposed to the normal 2 to 5 years. We feel that we need to actually assess whether we can be able to do longer than 5 years. So that's an area that we are also critically looking at. Secondly, what is still needed is that there needs to be a better data and transparency, understanding who is financing what and where the gaps are. So we are actually actively looking for strategic partners who can be able to support what you're doing right here in regards to data and transparency, so that at least we can dig deeper into this. Thirdly, we feel that stronger alignment with public policy, particularly around incentives and regulations, is quite important. Also, what you're trying to do in Rwanda, I'm mentioning Rwanda because primarily that's where I focus, is that we need to work closely with the likes of Bank of Kigali, the Central Bank of Rwanda, to see whether we can have regulations around things to do with the agri portfolios and also green, climate smart agriculture and also green finance. And fourthly, and lastly, is that we need scalable models for climate and digital finance. This is also an area that we are looking actively with other strategic partners on how we can actually collaborate on this. Finally, is that I can leave you with two thoughts. One, transforming food systems is not just about mobilizing capital. We believe that coordinating capital better across public, development, and private sector is quite crucial, so that at least each player plays its role quite effectively. So I'm very happy to see that Sanda and Genacho are trying to do quite a lot in this space, so that at least even for us as Rabo Foundation, who actually come in quite in the middle of those two critical sectors, we're able to do something in support of smallholder farmers. And that's all, Mariel. I've tried to keep it quite brief and short.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, it's clear. I must say I can, you have explained it very well, but I can allow only 2 questions, and I'm going to give you the first 2. So Mohammed, can you ask your question? And then please put all your other questions in the chat, because we have to go to the next session. But Mohammed, what is your question? You raised your hand already halfway through the presentation, so please.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be part of this course. I thank you, Master Eric, for your wonderful presentation. As you mentioned, your organization, Rabo Foundation, you work in different countries in Africa. So my question is, do you have a plan to expand your work into in other countries in Africa, like Somalia? And second question is, which organization do you work with as a partner in the country you work? It is a public or a private sector, or both of them? So that's my question. My name is Muhammad Afrah from Somalia. I work for Minister of Agriculture as a head of food system pathways. Thank you very much.
So
Mariel, I can go ahead and respond.
So you can ask quickly, you can answer.
True. So 2 questions. One is whether we are trying to scale up to other countries beyond the 6 countries that we operate in. Yes, we are actively looking to work into other countries. Right now, we are focusing into the 6 that I just mentioned. I believe also in West Africa, we looked quite keenly on Senegal. That's an area that we are trying to look into. In East Africa, Somalia, it's not, I wouldn't say that it's a country that you have looked into quite keenly, but I think we have worked in Ethiopia before, and we are trying to see whether we can actually add another country within East Africa. I wouldn't say whether Somalia is one of them, but we are keenly looking to expand our 6 countries that we are in Africa. Secondly, yes, we have worked with private sector, not so much with the public sector, especially under the capacity of Rabo Foundation. Within Rabo Foundation, what you do is that we work quite closely with private sector, especially the banks that you have just mentioned in Tanzania and Uganda, and hopefully we can also have partner banks in Rwanda and other countries in Africa. So we are not so much working with the public sector, but we try to do quite a lot with the private sector.
Okay, thank you so much. And let me ask one of the ladies, to Tracy. Can you pose your question? And then we go to the next session.
Thank you, Mariel and Eric. That was a wonderful presentation. I was just going to ask, in your experience of working with like the MFIs, what do you find is like, what are like practical things you do in terms of like risk management and technical support that you offer them, just to make sure that the finance is actually getting to farmers? And when you look at the results before you came into the scenario and after you came into the scenario, what are the typical like improvements you see in those projects?
Good question, Tracy. And that's also something that we try to address quite adequately here. Because at the end of the day, as much as we deploy capital to these microfinance institutions and even circles, the main question we have is how is actually it's being utilized. So again, Rabo Foundation is more of about supporting smallholder farmers, and we are big on impact. So we usually have covenants in place. Once before we deploy this capital, we actually agree upon them well beforehand with microfinance institutions. At the end of the day, it's all about trust, because as much as we have these covenants in place, we cannot actually, go directly to the microfinance and say, okay, we have given you $5 million. How have you been able to scale up those that your agri portfolio? But what we usually do is that within the covenants, we usually try and monitor the growth of the agri portfolio. One of the key requirements that we usually ask of our microfinance institutions that you're going to support is that they have to have at least 15% to 30% of their portfolio within the agri sector. So if you're going to give you anything between $200 to $3 million, we need to see how you have been able to scale up your agri portfolio from 15% to either 30%. Other metrics may be anything to do with smallholder farmers, how they are able to actually improve their livelihoods, anything to do with scaling up key value chains. That's also another thing that we usually have within the covenants. So it can be a mix of everything, especially in regards to how the MFIs are actually deploying their capital, which value chains. Then from there, we can be able to pick it up and see how we can monitor the loan portfolio.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to give the floor back to Bram, who will introduce us to the next agenda item.